The 2024 season is here. 215 days since the black and gold danced in Champion Square, cheered in the NFL's most iconic stadium, and dominated a division foe. Today, New Orleans kicks off the 2024 season hosting Carolina. Both teams showcasing new offensive looks, both teams looking to start the season with a win. For the Saints, they have something to prove. This season doesn't just feel different, it will be different. And in the words of defensive end Cam Jordan, the hunt begins now. Welcome into Saints Game Day Live right here on NewOrleansSaints.com alongside our Saints senior writer John DeShazer. I'm Erin Summers. This game kicks off in an hour, 12 o'clock on Fox. We have been waiting all offseason, all training camp for this moment. JD, what are you looking forward to most?
Well, look, 3 consecutive non-playoff seasons. We're looking forward to going to the playoffs this season. So you want to pull the bow off this season. You want to get off to a fast start. I am very excited, and I think everybody is, to see exactly what the Saints have in terms of a product for this season, because last year, really close to edging into the playoffs, didn't make it. So there's an anticipation. I know a lot of people are thinking maybe this won't be the season that they want it to be, but there's a lot of anticipation from inside the building, from inside the locker room. And so I think that will spur the enthusiasm throughout the whole city.
There's been a lot of talk about how tough training camp was this season. The players said they feel the most prepared that they have coming into a season than they have in a long time. And quarterback Derek Carr is coming into his second year with the Saints. He has a new offensive coordinator, a new offensive system to learn. However, he said he feels more confident and comfortable. How has this Clint Kubiak offense set him up for success?
Well, I think the main thing is you get a little bit more movement. You want to depend on the running game a little bit more. That always helps out the quarterback. You move the quarterback around a little bit so he's a moving target, not necessarily stationary. And look, let's be honest. Since 2006, the Saints had run some facsimile of the same offense under Sean Payton. And then they get to 2023, and by now it's probably a little bit stale, and you need a little bit of rejuvenation. That's what Clint Kubiak brought in. He brought in an offense from San Francisco that has been successful in San Francisco and Minnesota, several other different places where you've seen the results. And so now all the Saints players on offense are rejuvenated because they feel like there's an opportunity not just for statistics, but to be an efficient, consistent offense, which they have not been for 3 consecutive years.
It was a little up and down last season, but they did end the season with 4 wins out of the last 5 games. They're hoping to pick up where they left off. But the storyline that we've been following all offseason has been the turnover on the offensive line. 3 new starters on the O-line for the Saints. You move third-year tackle Trevor Penning from the right side to the left side, right?
Left to right.
Left to right. Taliese Fuaga goes from the opposite right to left because he played right tackle his whole entire collegiate career. And then throughout camp, they solidified the left guard spot with Lucas Patrick. What does the offensive line need to do in order to establish that run game and protect quarterback Derek Carr?
It's got to be a cohesive unit. That's where the chemistry comes in, because more than any unit maybe on the team, that offensive line has to gel together. Everybody needs to know what the guy next to him is doing and how he likes to do it, because you need to run those games together. You need to be able to pick up blitzes. You need to be able to have your blocking schemes. And these guys are supposed to be athletic, get down the field, get to some angles. So this unit needs to gel very quickly. We've seen some semblance of it during training camp. We need to see it in the regular season games. It's always easier to do it in practice than it is in the games.
The Panthers struggled last season. This year they come in with 6 new defensive starters. They did lose their top 2 pass rushers in free agency in defensive end Brian Burns and linebacker Frankie Lulu, but they did add some more players up front. Jadeveon Clowney being one of those, the number 1 overall pick in 2014, 9.5 sacks last season. How can the Saints combat that line and what the Panthers do well? Because they rush a lot from a lot of different places.
Yeah, they've got some good run stoppers up front. One of those guys being Shai Tuttle, who played here in New Orleans. But you mentioned Jadeveon Clowney. That's the guy. They're probably going to line him up against Trevor Penning to see exactly if Penning can handle him early. And Clowney might be coming off his best NFL season last year, which is saying a lot because he's been a fairly productive player, but the 9.5 sacks last year really kind of spurred him and rejuvenated him. And so he's looking to have another big season. The Saints need to be able to handle him. They're going to see a lot of really good edge rushers. And so those tackles, the rookie on the left side and the third-year guy who's basically a rookie on the right side, they've got to be able to handle that pressure. If they can't, then you're going to have a tight end to help them out. You're going to have a fullback help them out. You're going to have the running back chip. and it takes away from your offense and what you want to be able to do. So they've got to be able to handle those guys singularly. But you've seen the production from Carolina up front, and that's the thing that the Saints have to combat today in this game.
Well, the Kubiak offense does set them up for success. They do play a lot of wide rushes, and they try to not put as much pressure on the offensive line, get their playmakers out in space, like tight end Juwan Johnson, wide receiver Rashid Shaheed, and your number one receiver Chris Olave this season.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got some guys who are going to be productive for the Saints in terms of receiving the football. You know what Rashid can do. You know what Olave can do. You especially know what Olave can do because he's done it for 2 consecutive seasons. But who's going to be that number 3 receiver? That's the big thing. Is it going to be Chris? You know, is it going to be not Chris Wilson? Is it
Cedric Wilson?
It's Cedric Wilson. It's going to be Cedric Wilson. It's going to be A.T. Perry, who unfortunately is not going to be available in this game. Is it going to be someone else? They're going to have production from a third receiver. Could it be Juwan Johnson? Could it be Taysom Hill? Could it be Alvin Kamara back to being that receiver at running back that we've seen for the first 4 seasons of his career? Something has to manifest there for the passing game to be more effective.
Yeah. Well, I was able to talk to Juwan Johnson this week in our What's Brewing Community Coffee feature. Welcome into our Community Coffee feature. I'm Erin Summers. We're here to find out what's brewing with tight end Juwan Johnson. The first week of the regular season is finally here. What are the emotions leading up to game 1?
Yeah, the emotions are high. I think guys are just trying to find the light at the end of the tunnel during camp. Camp was such a grueler. It was beautiful. It was in California, but we're just glad to be back in New Orleans, ready to get a win for our city. So super excited, ready to get this week 1 game on and beat the Panthers.
What do you have to be absolutely locked in on when you hit the grass Sunday?
Yeah. Just playing the play that's at hand. I think, sometimes we try to look at plays before or, the future plays to go ahead. So I think the main thing is just staying on course and, just playing the play that's ahead of us. Playing the play that's right there in front of us and just staying consistent the whole time.
You're coming off a foot injury, only been on the field for 3 weeks now, having to learn a whole new offensive system. What was the biggest challenge?
Honestly, I think for me, it was the only thing was that I couldn't play, and I think that was more the more frustrating thing. But I think as far as getting the offense down, I thought it was pretty fun. It was fairly easy. I got to sit back and actually dissect the offense for what it was. So it wasn't too many things that were too hard. I think it was pretty easy for me to pick it up.
What needs to happen on Sunday for you to go, okay, Juwan's back?
Just energy. I think guys, see me as an energetic guy, just having fun out there, not trying to take myself too serious, but just playing lively, attacking everybody, blocking everybody, like running downfield, getting a block, making a catch, just the things that I normally do. So I think for me, it's just playing my game and just having fun out there.
All right, we have to talk about your daughter because she's absolutely adorable. Dory is just a little over a year now.
Yeah.
How has she impacted you as a football player?
She's impacted me so much, and I think one of the things that really been passion. And I think for her, I do play this game, for her, and I play for my family. I also play it for Jesus Christ as well. But I think, me just going through it, and I just think it's so fun that, during the game she's watching me, and even after the game, I get to see her. So I think it's so fun that I get to, be there, and she gets to say that, my daddy's in NFL. So I think it's super fun.
Expecting number 2 this month.
Yeah.
What's the game plan?
Yeah. Man. Well, the game plan is that she's supposed to be born the 30th of this month. So hopefully she doesn't come out any earlier, but if she does, that'll be great too, because I think it'd be great for my wife. But I'm super excited for her too. I'm excited to have 2 daughters. I think that's going to be even more fun, getting off the field and seeing my 3 girls there. I'm super excited. I'm just overjoyed with so much emotion, so I'm excited.
You and Shannon have a big outreach on social media, but you've been getting in the community a lot more. You had an event for mothers. You spoke at the Touchdown Club. Why is it important for you to connect with these fans on a personal level?
Yeah, because it's bigger than me. And I think a lot of people may see us football players as, maybe self-absorbed or maybe don't have enough time, but you can always make the time to take the time. So I think the biggest thing for me is getting out in the community, showing face and know that I care about the community that I've been in for 5 years. So just showing that me and my wife, we care about you guys, and just want to put a smile on people's faces.
All right, one word. What can we expect on Sunday?
Energy, a lot of energy. As you see, it just came out of me, just a lot of energy. But yes, it's going to be a lot of energy. It's first game, so everybody's going to be hyped. I know the fans are going to be hyped. I'm just so excited for this game. It's been a long time, especially, me dealing with my foot. I'm just glad I can go out there and do something, so super excited.
All right, thank you so much, Juwan Johnson. This has been What's Brewing, presented by Community Coffee. Always good to catch up with tight end Juwan Johnson, and good to see him back on the field ready to go for game 1. Looking at the Saints' opponent in the Carolina Panthers, they're led by second-year quarterback Bryce Young, a former overall #1 pick. However, last season he was sacked 41 times. He had the lowest passer rating, lowest quarterback rating in the NFL. The Panthers went out and spent $150 million in free agency to bolster their offensive line, help protect them a little bit more. The Saints added some people on the defense as well, namely defensive end Chase Young and linebacker Willie Gay Jr. How can they help bolster that pass rush in order to get to Bryce Young?
Well, Chase Young gives you a great rotation at defensive end. You got Cam Jordan, you've got Carl Granderson, you've got Peyton Turner, and you got Chase Young, who really physically looks the best of them all. So we got to see if Chase Young is going to be the Chase Young who was the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. And last year he also had 7.5 sacks, or if he's going to be the guy who was injured in the between years and didn't give you a whole lot of production. He looks the part. He looks like he can give you a lot of production. He's on a 1-year contract, so that would behoove him to be productive if he wants another contract, obviously. So we think he can produce. Willie Gay is a guy who's going to be on the field. Now, he had a little bit of back issues during the week, so he didn't practice a whole lot, but hopefully he's got those issues behind him because he's going to be a part of a really good linebacker rotation with Demario Davis and with Pete Werner. So you've got 3 linebackers that you feel really good about. But you got to be able to rush this passer. And I think you gave Bryce Young, you were lenient on it. He got sacked 62 times last year. Only had 11 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and he only had maybe 3,000 passing yards, completed 60% of his passes. You've got to be able to affect the quarterback. He was affected a ton last year because they didn't have a lot of help on the offensive line. They got 3 new offensive linemen, just like the Saints. You hope that their guys have to work to get a little cohesion too, because that's where Brian Brzee is going to help out. In the middle is where they have their 3 new guys at center, right, and left guard. So you've got to be able to attack in the middle. He's a short quarterback, so you got to be able to get into his face, hopefully contain him in the pocket, which means maintaining your rush lane integrity. So that's going to be imperative for the Saints. They rattled him a couple of times last year. Can they do it again this year?
The biggest question mark, though, for the Saints defensively is at that safety spot opposite of Tyrann Mathieu. All camp, head coach Dennis Allen would not name who that person was going to be. On the depth chart, it says second-year player Jordan Howden is going to hold that spot. What are you expecting to see in the rotations there, and who is out there opposite of Tyrann?
I don't know. It could be Jordan Howden for a series. It could be Will Harris for the next series, and they could go back and forth that way. It might go play to play. We just don't know because Dennis Allen would not commit, and neither would Joe Woods, defensive coordinator. Neither one of those guys would definitively say, this is our guy. And I think that was a dilemma in training camp. They wanted somebody to claim that position, and nobody ever did. So do they feel good with both guys? Yes, but neither guy really claimed the spot. Hopefully Jordan Howden makes a big jump in his second year because they like him a lot. They said he was too perfection-oriented last year. If he didn't play perfect, he was down on himself.
Yeah.
And you kind of like that, but you've got to be able to move on to the next play. Hopefully he's learned to do that a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, JD, since we don't have all of the answers, so let's check out your interview with head coach Dennis Allen, who definitely has all of them.
Coach Dennis Allen, DA, you always say that the anticipation of a regular season opener is kind of like Christmas Eve, getting ready to unwrap a present. What kind of present do you want to see unwrapped on Sunday?
Yeah, I want to see a tough, physical, high energy, high effort football team in all 3 phases. I want our team to play smart, I want our team to execute, and I want our team to compete. And that's exactly what I expect them to do.
You know, we've talked a lot about the new offense with coordinator Clint Kubiak and how things are going to function. What do you expect to see? What's a reasonable expectation of an offense that's been implemented over the offseason?
Well, look, I mean, I don't think we should sit here and say what are we expecting in terms of yards or points or anything like that. I expect our offense to go out and execute. I expect us to be able to run the football. I expect us to play a physical brand of football, and I want to see us create some explosive plays down the field. And look, I think we've had a great training camp. I think our guys have executed at a high level, and I'm excited about watching them play. And certainly there's going to be some things that we're going to come back after this game and we're going to say, man, we got to work on that. But I'm excited about what I think we can be offensively.
3 new starters on the offensive line. How have you seen that group kind of coalesce and come together?
Yeah, I think even more so over the past probably 3 weeks. maybe the last month, I feel like that group's become more and more cohesive as they've worked together and as they've gotten more experience in the system. And so again, just like, all these other pieces, when you get into the first game, like I'm really excited to see, what that group is and what I think that group can become.
Now, Carolina offers a bit of an unknown, brand new head coach, Dave Canales. However, offensive coordinator, he comes over from Tampa Bay, so that offers a bit of an unknown, I guess. Just how does that affect preparation? Because there are some things, I guess, that you can expect and some things you just don't know.
Yeah, look, I mean, obviously we've gone back and looked at the entire Tampa Bay season. We watched what Carolina did in the preseason, and those are the things that we kind of have to go off of. We've watched to see, okay, what are the things that Bryce Young did really well in Carolina? Because I know Dave's one of those guys that wants to put his quarterback in the best position and do the things that he's comfortable with. So I think we've looked at all of those things. We'll have to be ready to adjust to whatever they're doing. But I think that's the excitement of what a season opener is all about.
All right, Coach. Looking forward to kickoff.
All right, thanks.
We are getting that much closer to kickoff and the new kickoff rule. It has been a hot topic all preseason, and the goal is to try to get teams to return the ball more and help them as far as injuries and have an easier time with that. How is this going to help all-pro returner Rashid Shaheed?
No, I don't necessarily know if it's going to help Rashid because you've got two returners now. You can always kick away from him, and you can always kick it into the end zone like they did in the old days and just bring it out to the 30. So I don't know how much it's going to help Rashid Shaheed. If I'm an opposing kicker, I'm probably not going to kick to Rashid Shaheed because I don't want him to take it to the house. So it depends on how the Saints can kind of masquerade back there as returners and maybe get the ball in Rashid's hands. But if I'm an opponent, the safe thing to do is just kick it out of the end zone and bring it out to the 30. We'll see, because the NFL instituted this rule to be able to get more returns. Didn't have a whole lot of returns in that first game, Kansas City against Baltimore, so it didn't seem to work a whole lot in that game. Let's see if it can manifest itself, hopefully, this Sunday.
We've got a couple battles in training camp as well between kicker and punter. It was Blake Grupe who won that for the second year in a row. Last season, he was 40 of 40 in extra points, 30 of 37 field goals, the long of 55. How do you think he can achieve better results in year two?
What he's going to have to do is make all of his clutch kicks, and I know that's easy to say and hard to do, but NFL games come down to one score so often, and a lot of times they come down to a field goal. He's going to have to make good on those field goals that he needs to make in those clutch situations in those games. And that's the biggest thing he can do. 30 is 37 is fantastic, but one of those misses was at Green Bay for a game winner. So, that kind of off balances, and that gets you to 10 wins, maybe gets you in the playoffs. So those are the things that people remember, and I'm sure those are the things that Blake Grupe remembers.
Yeah, and it was punter Matthew Hayball that earned that punting role. He's a All-American from Vanderbilt, picked up in free agency, so we'll see how he does in his debut here today. I mean, it's here. Game one of the regular season against the Carolina Panthers, 12 o'clock on Fox. We're looking for our 6th straight season opening win. That is the longest record right now in the NFL. So we got to keep it rolling here, get this win over the Carolina Panthers. For John DeShazer, I'm Erin Summers. We'll see you after the game on our post-game show, NewOrleansSaints.com. Go Saints!